Okay, we're on. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, everyone is present with the exception of Paul. I have no public comment. Does anyone? Okay.
Okay, so thanks. I wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page with respect to our hourly employees. As you know, it really does take a village, and we've got a great organization, and a large number of those are our hourly employees, and they very much have been, they've been diving in just like the rest of us, whatever needs to be done, whether it's our cooks out at the the front sidewalk of the junior high, giving grab-and-go meals to our free and reduced lunch kids, bus drivers and cleaning their buses and professional development, our teacher assistants getting online with kids, taking advantage of professional development opportunities, our custodians coming in. The realization is that for most of these employees, they won't work their full time that we have normally had them working. And so if an employee has typically been working 7 hours, maybe they're only working 3. If they've been working 3 hours, maybe they're only working an hour and a half. The bottom line is they've pitched in, they've done everything that we've asked them to. And so earlier this week, the governor made a proclamation that everybody should continue to get paid like they have been. Okay, well, that's nice. I mean, it's a great sentiment, but at the end of the day, the government doesn't control how this board or any other board employs its people and spends its money. And so I would really like some clarity on this. I would really appreciate board support in continuing as long as all of these employees are, just like the rest of us, putting their best foot forward and being great teammates to try to take care of kids that, look, this money was budgeted for us to spend anyway, that as long as we are closed because of this pandemic, that we continue to give all of those employees their normal paychecks. Yep.
If I can start.
Of course.
So we are also still getting school funding during this time.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And as this was budgeted, of course I fully support them all getting paid. Some things that I would like to, and again, I trust your guidance with this, but some things that I would like to see, just as I am in schools myself, now, clearly, but after the schools have been deep cleaned and sanitized, and I know that they have asked from the State Board of Education and everything to have one person at each building in case somebody might need something or whatever. And I understand that if the free and reduced, if the kids need lunches, that's something. But otherwise, I would like to suggest, I don't think that it is worth having the parapros and any staff that we don't have to absolutely have be in the buildings unless it bodes as an emergency. Reason being is, as we're sitting 6 feet apart tonight, I myself, as I'm thinking about my parents and my children and things like that, I would hate for something to have been brought into the school and they're bringing it home and they're spreading it, and it's all in our due diligence to be responsible here, stay home, and as there are multiple online opportunities and training for parapros to do or other things in that magnitude, I just would like it to stop.
If they're not needed here, they should not be here. They should be paid, just like if they were working their regular schedules. It's not their fault. It's not the school board's fault.
Are you having trouble hearing, Liz?
Yes, we can't hear, I didn't hear your response there, most of the comments.
No, that was Ron. Ron was talking. Go ahead, Ron.
If they don't have to be here, I don't believe they should be here. It's not their fault that they can't be here. It's not the school board's fault. It is a virus that nobody knows about. If I look at it this way, we should just pay them. They deserve their pay, just like everybody else, and I don't see a problem with it.
It's not a time to save money.
Liz, any comment?
Yes. Overall, can you clarify, or Mr. Cox, can you clarify for us if there's any specific expectations that were sent out to teachers and staff around the implementation of these new circumstances?
No, with respect to specific guidelines, no. We have 70+ teaching professionals that this is their profession, their passion, and so they're the experts in their grade level. The vast majority, if not all, worked in teams to be able to put together similar programs. That's one of the huge benefits of the fact that we've started investing all of this time in the Google platform, is that a vast majority are doing that. Of course, that's not possible at the younger grade levels. From everything that I've seen, I've been nothing but proud.
Anything else,
I
Liz?
echo the phrases, but think that, from a best practice standpoint, that some clear expectations would be provided to our teams for that. Regarding some of the comments around, I think you mentioned in the room about staying home when needed and promoting that and supportive of that. I would agree that if we can, keep them home, but I also know that I think there's some commitments that potentially we've made to the students and the communities that we serve, to whether it's food or other resources coming to school that will be provided, where people will have to be in the buildings accordingly. So we'll have to manage through that and rotate staff, or however that structure, what that structure looks like for the team. Would also mention, though, that while they are working from home, say the support staff or bus drivers and so on, what can we do to give them the right tools? Do they have the tools and infrastructure needed to access information to support the teachers in a similar fashion, or as much as possible that they could support these online, these e-learning options, or provide support in different ways. So how have we thought about that and implementing their resources remotely?
Of course, and so any of our employees that are going to be asked to do online capacity, online professional development or any online engagement, if that's not a technology that they currently have at their house, then that's technology that they will check out with our IT department.
So this is Carla. I don't have an issue with receiving their normal pay. I have a concern about the workstations where the students are coming in. Is that endorsed by the Illinois State Board of Education? Are other school districts having these students come in? Is there another way that we can support them through something online with hard copies, I don't know, flash drives, CDs, or something to that effect?
Well, we've had 2 days of this. We've had no students show up,
Okay.
and so we don't. It's again, there's no playbook for this. That's something that we're continuing to navigate. We definitely sent out the Comcast offer to everybody, for the greatly reduced, if not free, internet access in the meantime. And so, again, that's something that we're trying to work through.
And would you mind going back to that question, Mr. Cox, and clarifying for us what those daily opportunities are? Because I don't believe that I had those details.
Certainly, and so it was in one of the communications home. For the handful of families without internet access, we have opened our, pardon?
Right, I remember seeing that, yep.
Yep, we've opened a space in each building to those students so they can access the internet if that's something that they need for their schoolwork. And like I said, no one's taken us up on it.
Did you give, I know you offered that, but did you give them alternative, like where you could have hard copies that went home of anything instead? Did you give that opportunity?
That's not something that we've had to do yet.
Okay.
And so to our knowledge, those who have said initially that they are without, they've been able to overcome and get work done.
Okay.
And so, again, the hard copies are definitely an option if we come to that.
Okay.
Can you repeat that? You said that the ones that did not have internet access, they chose to have the option in school versus the hard copies?
No, what I said was that those who had identified as not having internet, we have not seen that any of them are having issues. So our assumption at this point in time is that they've been able to access internet in some capacity to continue to do their work. And if at some point in time we do identify families that are having an issue with that, then we'll address that. Hard copies is definitely a possibility.
Materials were taken to 2 families today.
Yeah, we did have materials taken to 2 families today.
Maybe we can get a robocall out, maybe?
I didn't hear that, what?
Said materials were taken to 2 families today.
Juan, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for my turn again. You all hear me?
Okay.
Okay, so I believe the,
No.
or whatever it was that the governor put out, wanted us to look at their pay up till March 30th.
Correct.
So I would be okay with helping them out till March 30th, but then reevaluating how everything stands, because I know the feds and the state are trying to implement some plans to help everybody out during this time. So that would be my recommendation.
So did everybody hear that? So Juan's recommendation is that the board only approve normal pay up to this immediate school closure, which ends March 30th.
I think that's what we're all here for anyways, is to talk about that time.
So I will tell you this, I'll be stunned if we're back March 31st.
Yes.
And so we don't have another regular scheduled board meeting between now and then. And so if we don't have to do this again, it makes sense not to.
We're budgeted, correct?
As to that,
We're budgeted, this is the school year, everybody's budgeted,
Yes.
all the teachers, all
Yep.
of our parapros, our bus drivers.
Our funding is
Our
less.
greatest asset, basically. Without them, I don't know if I could teach, but I just don't see why we should come back. I think we should just do whatever they're going to do. If they're going to shut down the schools, we've got to take care of our assets,
Yeah.
and I think that's what we should do.
Yeah, I think if the governor extends this, the situation isn't going to be any different than it is right now, so.
We're going to be following Act of God days, and the suggestion is to keep on paying it as the funding won't stop. And there will be much more planning, I'm sure, on the part of the parapros, support staff, and teachers if this continues anyways.
Any other comments? Juan, Liz?
I would add that, when I don't know what the motion looks like, but, that we make sure that the language is appropriate so that it covers us going forward. to the point about, we don't have to make this decision again in potentially 2 weeks, as we all expect this to continue, until it ends.
Okay.
Okay.
Carla?
In addition,
I have a
though, I will
question
go back.
about, oh, sorry, this is Carla. I have a question about, does this cover, like, let's say somebody comes in on a Tuesday for substitute or something, or substitute teachers? Does that cover something like that, or I don't know?
No, our substitutes and periodic employees are not a part of this conversation. It's just only those employees that the board has formally recognized with board motion.
Are some of them working a lot more than others? Like, are the secretaries there all day and the other ones that only have to, I just want it to be fair. You know what I mean?
Well, the custodians are going to be working a lot more than everybody else. We're trying to be as fair as we can within each classification especially. We don't want one secretary to be working, 6 hours a day every day, and the person that's sitting right beside them to not work at all in a week. And so we're trying to rotate people.
I personally would be fine with this through the end of the school year. I motion it like that, but I don't know how everybody else feels.
I think until we return back.
I'm sorry, what?
I think we should.
Or as planned.
Or as planned, until we come back.
Or as planned?
Yeah.
I think the motion will be to continue this through the 30th unless the governor declares another extension, and then it will also be extended.
So
We will follow the guidance of the government. Yeah.
So anytime between now and the end of the school year that we are told to close by the governor or the Illinois Health Department or the Will County Health Department, if any outside agency tells us to close, then we're going to go ahead and pay everybody like normal.
That's how I feel.
Is that the motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the
And
motion.
then, like I said before too, I want all of their health and things to be kept in mind.
100%.
That we are not, that we are being as limiting as possible of people actually there.
So can we have people at all three buildings?
We do.
Why don't we have a
I'll
centralized?
also add to that, though, I would recommend that we develop some expectations. I don't mean we, that the administration develop the expectations for each class of employees so that they know, what is expected of them. In addition, I think some guidelines should also be set for, specifically for the teaching staff as well.
I would.
I don't think that would be a part of this motion.
No. I've fully trusted and supported the administration and Mr. Cox throughout this to be able to decide what to do, and I think that they've done more than an exemplary job, so I think that they can keep on doing that and handling the staff as that is their role.
I think with other here, I think why do we have three open buildings when we can have one centralized?
Do you have lunch coming out of each building?
There's lunch coming out of the junior high.
Just junior high, okay.
I do believe that our Marla and them you guys have to work, correct, at the district? I don't know why.
Well, let's take care of this motion
Yeah.
first, and then those are particulars that we can handle.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Are you gonna?
Can I clarify too, we are just approving the extension or the appropriate pay for the 3 classes? Is that how we're defining it? Custodians, paraprofessionals, and support staff?
It's for all,
This is
for
for-
all hourly employees who are negatively impacted and limited to work due to the coronavirus outbreak.
Okay. And another question relating to pay, are we suspending any of the additional stipends?
No, anything that's been board approved will continue to get paid.
Correct.
So if we approved a stipend for athletic director or soccer, for example, and they're not practicing, they're continuing to get paid, correct?
That's correct. And those are certified positions?
Yes. That should
So
be in
those
the
are-
contract
so those are by
under Act of
contract.
God
Yeah,
days,
those are by
that it's been approved on.
I don't know that I saw that in the contract, but I can follow up with you.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
So who made the motion?
I did.
Board President did.
And who seconded that?
Ron?
Weissel?
Yes, I can't hear everybody else though.
Okay, Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Mazurik?
Yes.
And Herman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
For those on the phone call, those were all three yeses.
Correct, I did.
Okay.
President, can we move over to other before COVID?
Okay, I just wanted to make a comment first. When this first hit last week, I was in conversation with Mr. Cox and advised him that I thought the board would definitely want to continue paying everything, that this happened so quickly that it wasn't anyone's fault that they should be losing pay. And I was also concerned that we didn't want to have the students missing the end of the year, that they should still be able to learn and continue into their next year. And I think Mr. Cox came up with an admirable solution. I know he worked all weekend on it, and I think he did a very good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And really it was groundwork that was laid with the entire staff at the end of the week. And really all of the credit goes to the staff in the way that everybody who works here has really jumped in and done everything that they can to take care of kids and to keep the learning process going. So it's been my privilege to help facilitate that.
Great job. I agree.
Ron?
I noticed that we have 3 school buildings open. I mean, we can have staff cleaning them every day, but if they're open, aren't they possibly being contaminated? So why don't we have one centralized for our staff and stuff? It's something that maybe
I think it's definitely something to look at. You know, I mean, this is a very fluid situation. You know, as of yesterday, we had 4 offices open and multiple people, anywhere between, 2 and 4 people working in each office, side by side, and we've since, changed that. So there's no playbook. It's very fluid. The individual health of every adult is of paramount importance, and it's being very delicately balanced with what does our community need, what do our kids need in order to continue the learning process. And so we're a pretty skeleton crew right now, and quite honestly, it's probably going to get a little thinner.
And I appreciate your attention to that and respecting, suggestions or things that are coming from the I'm used to saying CEC, CDC. Sorry, I have to do work meetings on that. Anyways, one thing that I'd like to suggest or just throw out there, because so many families might have immediate family with pre-existing conditions, asthma, or they could even have one themselves, to just consider that if somebody is asked to come into work and they're apprehensive about it or whatever, that wouldn't have no bearing on their position.
Yeah, I think we're in a position right now that if with all of our, well, I don't know about cooks or custodians, but in the others, if we have other things that they can do remotely.
Great.
It's hard to hand out sack lunches remotely.
Absolutely. That would be tough.
Juan, Liz, or Carla, any further?
No, but thank you. It breaks up a little bit on the phone, I have to tell you.
Okay.
I'll just add that I praise Mr. Cox for his leadership of and administration of the team, as well as all of, as you mentioned, the employees and across the district that have worked together over the past week or more to coordinate this. I will follow up, though, and ask my question now again about expectations and the recommendation to develop those for the different classes of employees.
Okay, I'm sure Mr. Cox will be communicating with you and see if we can work out at least a broad guideline.
The expectations that I got, for example, from my district, just outlined paragraph 2 and 3 of the joint statement, and that's our expectations at this time. We do, as a school district, have a Google form that we check in on, and at 9 o'clock in the morning. But otherwise, we're following what the joint statement was, just so you have a comparison from another district.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. I've also compared with other folks in context that I have as well, and have seen different examples. So, just trying to also develop some clarity for our staff based on the recommendations. And then another question I have, I'd like to bring up. Can you talk about is there a pandemic planning team or anything that has been created, and who's on that, and both from the district and the community?
There's no such thing.
Okay.
But we will file that.
And what are we doing about if we just agreed that we're going to pay kind of the remaining staff and hourly employees? What is our expectation then around unemployment? Are we giving them a recommendation on that there should be no need and we would not expect any claims, or do we have to address any of this, or has it been addressed with legal counsel?
If everyone is continuing to get paid, I don't know why there would be unemployment.
Fair enough. And has there been any discussion to vet this through legal counsel?
No.
Okay.
I don't think you can collect unemployment if you're getting paid.
Yeah.
No. Since this is an unusual situation, I'll entertain questions from the audience.
I was going to say, get your playbook ready because, as you mentioned, Brad,
Are there people in the room?
this is...
We have 4, yes.
I work in the healthcare industry. I just got back from California working there with individuals in infectious disease, and this is going to continue. And this is probably setting a precedence for in the future, meaning next year and the year after
I
possibly.
think the real question at this point in time, not that we're spending a lot of
Can
time
you
on
repeat
it,
the question? We can't hear.
is whether or not we can open on time in August.
The comment was basically that you can expect this to continue much farther than March.
I mean, because this social isolation is just going to flatten the curve. It's just going to extend it
It's not
longer.
going away. It's going to stay.
It's not something that's going away.
Right. I think I would all agree, and I will just echo from a safety standpoint, please follow the warnings personally and professionally, like Mr. Cox has laid out and so on, but even for each of your own individual families, that guidance is out there for a reason. So it takes all of us to essentially comply and, work together to make this a more successful outcome for all of us.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Camera's on.
Thank you guys for all you do. Right?
Thank you for coming out in the rain. You're probably all going to get colds now. It's,
Right? I feel like it Probiotics. Probiotics.
My sister was like, and her dog was bad sick. And you know what? And of course, my mom was like, and she was, and so it was little.